To me, I think about it like console versus PC. On a PlayStation or an Xbox, they're not as powerful as potentially a computer, but there is an efficiency that comes with having a device that is focused on doing just one thing, to make beats. So anyway, in this video, I'm going to kind of go through what I think are the pros and cons of both systems. Is the reflection from the ring light showing on my glasses? Fantastic. That's how you know I'm a content creator. Hello, my name is Christopher. My guy name is Siko. Since 2003, I have been making beats exclusively with FL Studio. However, earlier this year, I took the plunge and I got myself an MPC 1. I got the MPC because I liked the fact that it was one small screen. At the time, my job meant that I worked with 3 screens all day long from 8 to 5. And so when I was done with that and I wanted to make beats, pulling up FL on my screen was not fun. So what are my impressions as an FL Studio user coming to an MPC? See, this is the problem with creating content. You have to ask yourself these stupid rhetorical questions. What do you mean? What does it feel like? Nobody. Who asked me? Nobody asked me. I just said, okay, let me make video and tell you my impressions. And I'm asking myself stupid questions that nobody ever asked me. Rant over. But yes, what does it feel? I'm still asking you a question. I can tell you my summary now. My summary is both of them are great. Use whatever one you want. FL Studio just does more out the box because that's what it's designed to be. It's designed to be a fully fledged do everything DAW, and the MPC is supposed to help you create beats in an analog, tactile way. And if that's what you're looking for, MPC is for you. Simple as short. First thing I have to talk about is the audio engine. When I was coming up, I heard that Pro Tools had the best audio engine. It had the most authentic sound. Once you run things through Pro Tools, it's the best. It's just not true. So FL Studio used to have a limiter on the master track that kind of glued everything together and made beats sound fat as you worked. I personally like to work without the limiter, but some people like to work with it. If it sounds good to you, then it sounds good, period. However, I have to say the MPC has something different. It's je ne sais quoi. Actually, it's not je ne sais quoi. Je ne sais quoi is something mysterious. I don't think it's very mysterious what's going on with the MPC. When you run beats through the MPC, especially when you use MPC samples, like sound packs that are endorsed and sold by MPC, they just sound fatter. As a matter of fact, when people argue that the older MPCs that didn't run this kind of newfangled Linux software sounded even fatter and nicer and richer than what you even have now. And people have critiqued Akai for kind of dumbing down the sound, if you will. My guess is that it's with the software. I actually used MPC Beats, the free version, before I ever got an MPC 1. And there was something about how crisp the sound from MPC Beats, how it sounded versus if I made music on anywhere else, especially when I use the tones that were crafted for MPC. Song creation, that is definitely a con for the MPC. On FL Studio has a playlist. You work from the step sequencer and you graduate to the playlist and you have the mixer underneath. As a matter of fact, the step sequencer shows up as little audio clips and you can stretch them on your playlist, and that's how FL Studio works. Whereas on the MPC, to create a song, you have to do this whole thing of going to sequence mode or song mode, and then you arrange your tracks. You have separate tracks, and all your tracks make a sequence, and then you can arrange your sequences into a song. And basically what you're doing is you're telling the software to play this sequence for 16 bars and repeat it once or repeat it twice, and then go to sequence 2 and play that for another 16 bars and go to sequence 3. And there's not a lot of play where you can, split clips and move things around. It's very kind of linear. FL is also faster. Like the workflow to get things, everything is drag and drop. You can just pull WAV files out from the browser and drop it into your playlist or drop it into your step sequencer and start working immediately. The MPC has a slightly different workflow. You go from the browse menu and you drop audio file, you drop things into your audio pool, and then you assign things from the pool to a drum track or a key group. It's not the same thing as drag and drop. It has its own benefits, it allows you to think about things a different way. But in terms of just the raw speed of doing things, it's much quicker working with FL. Several things I really specifically like on the MPC. First thing I already talked about the audio engine, right? Second thing is the tactility. It's just hands-on. Different people's brains work differently. For some people, it's totally fine just doing mouse and keyboard. But I will say there is something tactile, that just being able to tweak everything by turning a knob, turning a dial, pressing a button. There's something about it that just makes it feel fun, especially for me who got it as a way to cut back from my day job. I also like how focused the MPC is. The nature of the MPC means that when you're making music, you're actually just focused on making music. So when I'm working on FL Studio, yes, I am focused. When I have headphones on, I can't really hear if the world around me is catching on fire, which may or may not have happened actually in the past. When you are on a computer, you can minimize, you can have notifications might pop up on your PC, or you might want to Google stuff, and you know how that goes. Once you just open your browser, I just go down rabbit holes. The other issue is that because FL is just almost big and broad, there's a lot of things that you have to pay attention to almost at the same time. It's almost sensory overload sometimes. However, on the MPC, you're generally only ever doing one thing at once. It's very focused. If you're sequencing, you're sequencing. That's all you're doing. That's all you can see. If you're arranging on your piano roll, that's all you can see. It's just the piano roll and a few sliders and knobs here that you can use to manipulate your sound. And I feel more immersed when I'm working on the MPC. But that's just me. Another benefit I think of the MPC is that it actually has less VSTs, and I think that's a great thing. You can sample tones and make them into key groups on the MPC and have more instruments that way. I think the MPC comes with 4, 5, or 6 virtual instruments, so it's quite limiting. It's quite limited. That's a good thing. I remember when I first got FL Studio 3, all I had was 3 XOSC and a couple other tiny synths, and that was the end of the day. Now I have easily 100 VSTs, which is just sometimes it's overwhelming having to go through all that material to find one tone. Whereas if you have only a few options, it forces you to make decisions about your beats, and I think that's a great thing. Okay, so it's another day, hence the change of shirt. I don't change clothes for no reason, but I also think I might have some kind of pink eye situation going on. Don't know if that's any of your business, but hey, sharing is caring. So I'm going to show you a couple other things about the MPC that I really, really love and that I don't find on FL. At least not with the quickness. FL kind of has it, but it's more fun here. Let me show you. Okay, so it's called 16 levels. Anybody who's familiar with MPC stuff will know exactly what 16 levels is. 16 levels is this little button right here. So I want to play my hats right there. So with 16 levels, you hit this and you can choose what parameter you get to spread across the 16 pads. So here I go velocity. And so now for this hat, the velocity is spread from the top all the way down. If you go, so I can play. I can also mess with the tune if I wanted. So if I did that, it would spread it tonally across the pad. The other cool thing is pad mode. Is it pad mode? I don't know. Well, but let me show you. Instead of hitting 16 levels, I hit shift, 16 levels, then it brings me this pad perform thing. And then I can go to chords, for example. And it gets even better. You can hit progressions and it will map out foreign progressions on this. Woo! Like that, beat has set. And then I can I can change from the kind of progression. So this is classic minor, and I can go all the way if I want to get, that's like a gospel, guitar, hip hop. Pop, always love pop. Top Billboard. Just like that. It's fun. It allows you to do that thing really fast and accessible. So I like that. FL does not have a cool chord mode like this. I mean, with FL you can map stuff, and then I have this guy right beside, the FL key 37, and it can do some tricks, but it's not the same flow. It's just not the same flow as this guy. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is the latency on the MPC. The MPC, for some reason, just has better response time. Even when I use when I set my latency to a really low figure like 64, it introduces, when you set to really low latency, you quickly, introduce artifacts in the sound. But with the MPC, like you saw in the demo that I was, doing a few seconds ago, it just feels very instant. Just feels very instant. Even if you're working in standalone mode or you're working using it as a controller, once you're working through the MPC, the latency is almost non-existent. And I think it comes down to that whole integrated system thing. When a piece of tech is just geared to do one thing, that integration, if you will, just makes it so much more efficient. So everything else it does is it's really snappy. Also, you're triggering wave files on the MPCs in standalone mode, unlike when you were triggering VSTs, and VSTs we know introduce a lot of latency. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully I've confused you, made your life more difficult, giving you more choices. That's what I'm supposed to do, no? Yeah. I'm really bad at this YouTube thing. I keep moving around. Anyway, see you in the next video. Bye bye.